Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's start from Parliament, where the minority have filed a motion of censure to remove the Attorney General from office. The reason? He failed to comply with a directive issued 2 weeks ago for the admission of some 499 law students who have been denied admission into the law school. We all recall that this issue was a matter of controversy in Parliament, and the Speaker had to direct that the GLC and, of course, the Attorney General comply with that directive from Parliament. Many have questioned whether Parliament has such powers to do what they were seeking to do. But let me take you live to Parliament for details. And my colleague, Christy Parker-Wilson, our parliamentary correspondent, joins us with details of what is currently happening in Parliament. Parker, I know you've cited a copy of that motion of censure. Walk us through what it says. Hello, Parker.
Yeah, hello, Eva.
Thankfully, thank you for joining us once again, Parker. If you can hear me now, I'm asking you to walk us through that memo. I know you've cited it. What does it say?
Right, so Eva, you recall that Parliament unanimously directed the Ghana Legal Council to the General Legal Council to ensure the admission of the 499 law students. Now, they also directed the Attorney General, who happens to be the Minister for that sector, to ensure that at least the directive is followed through. It's been almost about 2 weeks and then nothing has been heard. We know the responses from the Attorney General. So today, the minority is not happy with the position taken by the Attorney General and have filed a motion for vote of censure. Now, it says that this Honourable House passes a vote of censure on the Honourable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, in respect of the following conduct. Now they are providing reasons. 1, refusal without justifiable basis to implement the resolution of this Honourable House unanimously passed on 29th October 2021 that the General Legal Council admits into the Ghana School of Law 499 students who sat for and passed the entrance examination of the Ghana School of Law for the 2021-2022 legal year in accordance with its own published ground rules. 2, impugning the image and integrity of this Honourable House through statements unbecoming of the holder of the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of this Republic. So this is what the statement says. And now that the minority has moved, we understand that 1/3 of the House are in support, because the minority themselves are more than 1/3 of Parliament. So they have appended their signature to this motion, and they are ready to push through. Now, I'm sure one will wonder what happens with this. What it means is that if the minority is successful with this motion, Parliament will not recognize the Godfred Yeboah-Dame as the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana. So even though he might still be holding the office as the minister under the Akufo-Addo administration, his budget and other activities cannot be brought to Parliament for consideration because Parliament does not recognize him as the whole office.
Find out from you, Parker, the reaction to this latest development. I don't know if it is brought before, it's been brought before Parliament itself or the plenary, and what has been the reaction of especially the majority to this particular development?
So, we intercepted this document and it is yet to be brought before the House for a debate or consideration. But we know that when they file it within 7 days, the matter has to be heard. The story just came. We are yet to get reactions from the minority and the majority. I'm certain that very soon when we are able to get them, they'll give us their reaction.
Okay, Parker, we'll leave you to it so you can get us some reaction from the majority side. But I'll go through the memo which you saw on your screens a while ago. That's a memo that, you know, it's from the Minority Chief Whip, Mutaka Mubarak, and is subject motion of censure. So this Honourable House passes a vote of censure on the Honourable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, in respect of the following conduct. It states 1, refusal without justifiable basis to implement the resolution of this Honourable House, unanimously passed on 29th October 2021, that the General Legal Council admits into the Ghana School of Law 499 students who sat for and passed the entrance examination of the Ghana School of Law for the 2021-2022 legal year in accordance with its own published ground rules. It goes on to say that impugning the image and integrity of this honorable house through statements unbecoming of the holder of the office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice of this Republic. And this is a memo that we've just cited from the Minority Chief Whip's office for that matter. And they are hoping to move a vote of no censure against the Attorney General. They're seeking to remove the Attorney General from office or fail to recognize him as the Attorney General if he does not follow the directive that Parliament had sent. And you know that the Attorney General had earlier responded to Parliament on this particular development, citing the Legal Professional Act, article, the first section, 5 of it, mentioning that it's only the Attorney General that can give such orders to the General Legal Council and not Parliament, and that the executive is in charge of this and not the legislature. So it was a back and forth between the executive and the legislature on this particular issue. There were also concerns about why Parliament will be interfering with a matter that is currently before the judiciary as well, because we know that the 499 students are currently in court on this matter, seeking to force the General Legal Council to allow them or give them admission into school. Meanwhile, the law school is still operating and fresh students have been admitted, and they're seeking for that to happen. We're also hearing that the 499 students are engaging the Attorney General's office on this particular issue. But we'll head to Parliament again and get reactions from the majority on this latest development. So if you're just joining us, this is the latest that we are getting developing from Parliament, and the minority are seeking to stop recognizing the Attorney General as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice if he fails to comply with the resolution of Parliament on the 29th of October this year, seeking to ask them to give admission to the 499 students. We'll give you more on this, but you can tweet at us on this with the hashtag #ThePulse on all our social media platforms. That's the latest. And also visit myjoyonline.com for more news on this. But let's move to the Kitty South Municipality now in the Volta region, where tidal waves have devastated communities and displaced hundreds. We've been talking about this for some time now. It's day 3 of this incident, and residents continue to wait for assistance as their homes are filled with flood waters. So last night, many of them had to wait for service to close. That's a church service to close at that local church, so they can pass the night there. Our team of reporters on the ground say they are seeing heart-breaking, heart-wrenching scenes with some residents taking their baths in the open. Maxwell Ababa is leading our coverage there. He will join us shortly. But first, here's a report capturing how those who've been forced out of their homes manage through the night.
It is afternoon at Salakope, and the sea looks calm. The white, powdery sand here makes it more beautiful, but calm during the day, ferocious at night. It is evening, and members of the Life in the World ministries are singing and dancing. The monthly revival of the church is underway. Some of them tell me as long as they have life, they have to be thankful to their Maker. But even as they sing praises and pray, some of the residents who have been forced out of their homes sit outside and pray for church service to be over so they can sleep. The church is now their new home. I've met Davi Agbernato and 60-year-old Susan Tete. Okay. Okay. So what she's saying is that she would have to wait for the church service to end before she can sleep. I asked her where is her house. She told me that her house has been submerged, and so she doesn't have any place where she would lay her head today, and she has to wait for the church service to end before. Okay. Well, she says that she would have to wait for the church to close before she would lay her mat and then sleep. And as the church service is ongoing, she would have to wait outside. So that is a real situation on the ground. Togbi Emmanuel Anum Tete is the chief fisherman of Salakope. Part of his building has been submerged and he has been compelled to sleep in the other half. He says residents are yet to receive relief items.
We don't have even food to eat. You see, nothing to wear. This is what I wear in the morning since yesterday. My things are in the water. I can't change anything. You see, same thing applies to everybody in the community here.
Wisdom Ejia is head pastor of Life in the Lord Church at Salakope.
They have, some have mosquito nets and some don't. So they have to patch with the others. And after that, after the church, they will bring it, they have hide them. So some are in the church, so after the church, they will bring it them out. And it is a difficult task for this Salakope. And now, if you can see, the water have taken away. The sea is far. So with a few days, it came and destroyed all their properties, their houses, and all those things. And now, they don't have any place to sleep. And now, if it rains, the other part they have to go to, the rain have taken over that place too. So now we are telling the government to come to our aid, because we need them now. If we are in trouble and they come to us, we know that they are our helpers. Now, if they can't do anything about it, it means that they don't even take care of us, because they are paying their taxes. If they go to the market, if they buy their things from anywhere, they are paying taxes. So with the taxes, we think they can do much more than what we are saying now.
Muchinu community and the community school here itself is also getting its fair share of the devastation being caused by the high tides here in this part of the country. Now, I just want to give you a sense of what the distance between the ocean, the deep blue sea right now, and the school building. Now, this is the school building. It's just about 20 meters away from the ocean. You can just reach the school. Previously, I'm told that previously there were a lot of structures here that separated this school from the ocean. But now, the students, when they are studying, the pupils, when they are studying, when they are in there, they can have a good view of the ocean. What's your name?
Right, Swahili.
How far was the sea, was your school from the sea previously?
The sea, first time the sea, the distance between the sea is very far. By this time, yeah, the sea is closer to us. Sometimes the sea can even come here, and we can flow through this area, then sometimes disturb our knowledge. We can't even learn.
Oh, wait. So the ocean is causing a lot of distraction in terms of studies here.
Yes, sir.
So sometimes it enters your classrooms.
Sometimes it doesn't enter the classroom, but the way the sea comes closer to our classroom, yeah. Last time if it hit the wall, then it started driving or fetching the sounds away from here.
Okay. Okay. So how are you able to pay attention when you are in class? Because sometimes, we've been hearing the noise from the wave and all of that. How are you able to focus in class?
And we can't even focus to learn, because the way the sea is coming to hit the wall.
It hits the wall?
Yeah, it hits the wall, okay. And the sun is always disturbing us every day.
I speak to the assembly member for this area. He's also here. He's quite concerned about what is happening in this community. The only community school here is facing an imminent threat from the ocean.
Indeed, for this year alone, the school building, the distance between the school building and then the ocean could be about 200 meters. That is the distance for just this year. But because of the tidal wave effect, it has really impacted and has drawn the sea closer to the building. As you can see, you realize that now it's less than 50 meters for this building to be washed away. Yeah. This school has been here for the past 30 years, and this is the only school that holds the two communities, Amutinu, Salakope, together. And this is where the school children attend school.
This is the only school for the two communities?
This is the only school for the two communities. And we are now facing an imminent threat because if the sea, nothing is done to protect the sea from getting closer to this building, it means that it will eventually take over the building and there will not be any school for the community. Now, as we speak, the impact of the tidal waves on the various houses has affected enrollment in the school. We used to have about 800 plus children attending this school. But because of the tidal waves, the impact of the destruction on livelihood, the children are unable to come to school. And so you realize now when you go to school, we have about 400 plus students at the school now. So our appeal to the President of the Republic of Ghana, as you can see now, you realize that the sea has naturally reclaimed the land. Yeah. If you were to be here yesterday, you would realize that the sea was even hitting the building.
Hitting the school building?
Hitting the school building. Whoa. Although it has reclaimed it naturally today, it's still not enough solution. We are pleading on the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that this has become a national threat. I say it is a national threat basically because when nothing is done, like the sea defense project that was stalled, if nothing is done to extend it from here to Aflao, what will happen is that if the sea eventually takes over the main road that connects Aflao to Keta, it's going to trickle down to the lagoon side and eventually affect the main road that connects Aflao to Accra. Now, let me tell you this. Aflao border is one of the highest revenue generation points to the Republic of Ghana. And so if any activity that has to halt economic activity at the border, it means therefore that the nation is going to also lose.
That's Maxwell Agbagba's earlier report. Now, the acting Volta Regional NADMO Director, Ebenezer Azuma, told JoyNews a team is heading to affected communities to provide relief for over 4,000 residents.
We are on the way going to the zone with some relief items. Blankets, rice, oil, soap, mosquito net, coil. Those are the things we have at the moment. What we have, I think we'll be able to reach out to a larger number of people. And then aside that, another consignment will also follow tonight from Koda. Koda is on the line of helping. So they will also dispatch their distance this evening.
Right.
So far we have 4,000 and over.
Right.
4,000 and over. We will continue to engage them, look for places, community centers, churches. We will continue to talk to them so they can give out their premises for them to lay in their heads there for temporary as we find lasting solution to the problem. We are appealing to the general public, especially the communities, the areas that the tidal waves have affected, that those places that are not affected, they should at least extend helping hand to the affected ones by way of giving out, if they have excess rooms that people are not sleeping, they can give out those rooms for our friends and sisters, brothers and sisters who are affected to also have a sound sleep.
That's the Volta Regional Acting NADMO Director. Let's go live on the ground now and check whether indeed the relief items have arrived, because earlier around midday also we interacted with the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, who told us that indeed items, blankets and amongst others will reach residents by close of day today. Maxwell Agbagba is on the ground now. Maxwell, if you can hear me, what's the situation now as we speak? Do we have the relief items?
Okay, so personnel from the National Disaster Management Organization, MFA, just arrived here at the Ketu South municipality, at the Keta South, Keta municipality, sorry. We have the personnel here. The Deputy Director General of NADMO himself, ACS Stephen Saji, is here with us. We want to find out from him. We understand that they have actually been sharing some relief items, you know, in some of the areas already even before coming here. Chief, you're welcome to JoyNews. Well, he says he wants to greet first of all, but Chief, you're welcome to JoyNews.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So I want to find out which areas have you been to so far?
No, but our men have been on the ground since Sunday when the incident happened at dawn. You know, I hear it happened Saturday night into Sunday morning. And you know, NADMO is already a decentralized organization from the zonal level to the district level, regional level, and the head office. So normally, our zonal officers, are the first point of contact if any incident happened. And that's how the information is relayed up to the headquarters before we move in. So we have moved in with some temporary relief items, especially for those who have been displaced and are at some safe havens, to give them some relief for now, whilst we continue the assessment and come back later and give them the needed relief.
Okay. So which areas are we looking at? Because all the people we've spoken to so far tell us that they've not received any relief items from NADMO.
Yes. But as I told you from the beginning, what we normally do when there is an incident, we don't just rush in with relief. We try and first of all find out even what sort of relief do we need to bring immediately. Sometimes the people need to be moved to safer places, and it's the work of NADMO in collaboration with the District Assembly to get that done. So whilst that is being done, a quick assessment is always done for us to get some needed. So we've brought something that they will be using for the meantime. And as we understand, the reports we got from the district level up to this point is that the 3 districts along the coast have been affected: Keta, Ketu South, and Agloga. And in all, it's about 13 or 14 communities as well. So we have quite some interim reports that we are working with.
And how many people are affected by this? We know Salakope, we told a little over 1,000 people are affected by this. So if you're looking at 17 communities, how many people are we looking at?
In total, we are looking a little bit below 4,000 people. A little bit, that's the report we got. Okay. But you see, assessment is still going on. And it will go on for quite some time because there might be other people who have been affected who have not been captured by our men on the ground. So we know we are working with a figure of a little below 4,000 as of now. Yeah, we don't know whether it will increase as we get along.
But you are on the ground. Has relief items reached any of the victims? Because the people we've been speaking to tell us that they've not received anything from that.
Yes, I told you that when a disaster occurs, the first thing we do is to move in to do what we call search and rescue. And that is trying to move people to safer places. Then after that, we try and do a quick assessment of what they will need. And this is what our district officers and our zonal officers do. Then based on that report, we move in with what they need immediately. And we have come with some few items for them.
For the 17 communities, we're going to start distributing the relief items today.
That's why we are here. Okay. That's why we have some relief items for now, because we are still mobilizing. Because we have something in stock, we have brought that. And we'll still be mobilizing as we go on. You know the problem?
What would you tell residents who are saying that it took a very long time for these relief items to come, to the extent that it's actually taking a political twist? But some of the people we've interacted with saying that they feel that because this is not the so-called World Bank of the governing party, so they've been neglected. That's what they've been telling us all morning.
But you see, that is quite unfortunate. And I don't think that the people who are really, really affected will be thinking of this political party or that political party. I don't think at all. It is those who try to put the issues across or who try to intervene that want to score political points. We as an organization, we are not a political organization. Our duty is to manage disasters. And we come in, we have a standard operating procedure, and we follow that, irrespective of which political party you belong to. Myself, this is where I come from.
my village is one of the ones affected. So do you want to say that because I belong to a political party, I won't attend to my own people? I think it is quite unfortunate. Let's try and rise above this when these things happen.
Like
it is important that it's very important. It is important that we try as Ghanaians. You know, we are humanitarian in nature. Naturally, that's how we are. When things happen like this, people are very concerned. Whichever political party they belong or wherever they belong, they are very concerned. Let's try and mobilize that, harness that, and use that, and try to address the issues that are confronting that. You know, this is a very big issue. It is not an issue that is just occurring. This issue dates back. Where I come from, actually, if not for the Keta Sea defense that was done some time ago, I wouldn't even have what we call a land as my hometown. You get it? So this problem is a problem that has been persisting for, I think, before you and I were born. But gradually, we are getting there. Some parts of the sea defense has been constructed. We are only hoping and praying that the plans that are afoot to get these things concluded through to Aflao, then we can have some respite.
Yeah, you talked about the sea defense. It looks like that is the solution to all of this. If we don't provide that, then the perennial problem would keep recurring. In some of the communities that we visited, like Salakope, for instance, roads are being washed away, community cemeteries are being washed away, school buildings are being washed away. We want to find out, what is NADMO going to do, or what is NADMO pushing, for right now at this point?
Okay, I think that these issues have gotten to the highest level. I think the attention of government has been focused on this for some time now. If you realize, quite early this year, I think I even saw you there, when NADMO came in, some MPs also came in, some ministers came in. The Minister of Works and Housing himself was also here, and he talked about the project, the phase they have gotten to, and working towards completion. I heard him when this incident happened, that he's even very confident and sure that he'll be hearing something positive from the finance minister in the budget that will be read very soon. So we are just praying and hoping that, projects of this nature take time. And as it takes time, funding too is not that easy. We are only hoping that the sea defense along the whole coast will be concluded, so that at least those of us who come from here will have some respite.
We're wrapping up this conversation in 3 minutes, but I want to find out, what are we distributing to the people? Okay, what kind of help are we extending to?
So normally we after our assessment, the recommendations we got is that the people need some non-food items and food items. And because we are moving people out of their homes to other places, they will need things like mattresses, mosquito nets, mosquito coil, blankets, and a few utilities like plastic cups, buckets, and all that. Then some food items too as well, our usual rice and oil and all that. But this is just for the interim, for us to quickly try and give the people some relief. So later there will be a lot more mobilization that will be coming after this.
For people who do not have rooms, who have to use churches as shelters, for those who have to sleep in their rundown structures along the coastline, do we have tents or anything for them?
Yes, that's what we are working on. What is happening now is that from the reports we got, our local officers on the ground have identified some few places as safe havens, and they have mentioned some schools and some churches. And those are the places that will be using the materials that I just mentioned for now. I hear some people have also moved to live with other residents in the community and all that. We will try and identify them because they have been captured in the data that have been forwarded to us.
Okay, so the distribution starts now?
Just immediately after having meetings.
Okay. But finally, what is the extent of devastation in these 17 communities that we're talking about?
I think it's quite massive because the data we got, we are having almost over 200 to 300 houses affected. That's the data we got. I'm not giving the exact figure, but over 200 to 300,000 houses, not 1,000, 200 to 300 houses affected. Then those who have been displaced, most importantly, I hear they are just about below 4,000, and that's quite a huge number. So the devastation for us is quite serious, and we are giving it all the serious attention that is.
And the hardest hit area is which area?
I am told it is the Keta area. The Keta is recording of well over 155,000 people. Yes, then the Keta. No, the 1,000 is rather Anglogan. Yes, Keta is about 1,550 something. Then Ketu South also have a little bit over 1,000. Then Anglo to a little bit over 1,000.
People affected by
people affected, especially people who have been displaced, people who are going to have some difficulty continue to stay in their homes, and those who have been moved out.
And a total of 200, 300 houses collapsed.
Roughly more than 200, but just maybe below 300 houses. So that's quite serious. So that will take us to a second level of those homes. What are also the needs? The assessments will be looked at, whether something can be done temporarily for them to still be in it for some time. Yeah.
We appreciate your time for speaking to us. You wanted to greet first, but you stopped and talked to
tradition, which is not proper.
I know.
Tradition.
I'll provide a snap to that to appease. Thank you very much for talking to us. Okay, so we just heard Stephen Saji there. He's the Director General, Deputy Director General. You can see the number of people who are coming in here with him, and he gives us an idea of the extent of devastation caused by these high tides. Indeed, he mentions that a total of 200 to 300 homes have collapsed or have been affected. And he talks about a number that is around 3,000 residents who have been affected by this. He says the hardest hit area is the Keta municipality. And indeed, we have been in the Ketu South municipality, where a lot of people actually think that that is the hardest hit, because we've seen people who have lost their homes, who have lost their source of livelihood, who have lost all their buildings. But today we are learning from the Deputy Director General of NADMO that Ketu South is actually not the hardest hit. The hardest hit is Keta municipality. And about 300 to 400 homes affected. Now, this truck here, we are told, contains some of the relief items, and they've actually started. Distribution would actually start right from here. He says, as custom demands, he would have to greet the officials here at the Keta Municipal Assembly, where we are currently. So that is going to happen right now, but you can see personnel of the National Disaster Management Organization also ready to swing into action when that preliminary greeting ends, and then the relief items will be shared from now, MFA.
Well, Maxwell, I'll leave you to that so you can monitor the sharing of these relief items. We'll definitely get back to you on this. But I don't know the reaction of residents so far. Have they heard that these items are in? What have they been saying prior to you going to the assembly?
Well, we left Salakofa before the Keta Municipal Assembly. We left Salakofa. Now, when we're leaving the community, many of them told us that they've run out of hope, they've run out of expectations that anything is going to come, because they tell us that the incident, the incident happened on Sunday dawn, and they thought that, Monday morning or maybe Monday afternoon or evening, they were going to get, some kind of help. That they didn't see any sort of support coming to them on Monday. Tuesday, it's almost 4 p.m., and now they have some, relief items coming to them. As you heard me put to Stephen Saji, the issue was taking a bit of a political twist whilst we were there. Many of the residents were telling us that they feel neglected, and they feel that because this is not the so-called World Bank of the ruling government. They have been neglected. They cite instances where relief items were sent really quick to people under great distress, under great distress. And they say that their issue is also, quite massive, and they expected some help to come to them, really quick. But I'm sure they'll have a change of mind today, but we're told that some people have already left the communities because they just couldn't endure any longer. They tell me that it's now a battle of the survival of the fittest. If you can live in a rundown structure, in a dilapidated structure along the coastline with no roofing over your head, then you try it. If you cannot, you move from the community to go and live with your family member or your loved ones, and that is exactly what they've been doing, MFA.
Maxwell Agbegba, I'll leave you to it. We'll definitely get back to you on this. Maxwell Agbegba is our man on the ground, been monitoring this for us for the past 3 days. We know now that Angloga and Keta were the worst hit, with them, Angloga recording over 1,550 residents being displaced. We also know that Keta is also having over 1,000 residents being displaced, and in all, 200 to 300 homes have been affected, and relief items have just arrived. And we've been interacting with NATMO on this. Let me bring in the former MP for Keta, an area which is worst hit by all this as well. Mr. Richard Kwashiga, we are grateful for your time here on the Pulse today.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm sure you'll be monitoring events in your former constituency. You also come from there, so I know that this is very close and dear to you. What exactly have you been able to pick up on the ground in terms of what exactly is happening and what your constituents or fellow countrymen and women have been telling you about this?
Yeah, thanks so much. It is true that we have getting all the information as to the happenings in the Kata, Angloga, and Katu South areas, as far as the ravages of the sea and the destructions are concerned. We very much troubled as a citizen of the land. I'm very much troubled, and in this context, I'm not just speaking as a former member of Parliament, but as a son of the soil. A lot of us have had sleepless nights over the happenings, and we've been discussing amongst ourselves as what we can do as citizens from these areas whose families and relatives are being affected so terribly by the recent tidal waves. Myself, the likes of my Kenashige, myself, Kafi Day, and a number of people, the former MP for Honorable Mado, and of course the members of Parliament from the area have also been interacting as to the way forward. We think that whilst government is doing its bit, and other state actors are doing what they should do or they can do to ameliorate or alleviate the plight of our people, we as citizens from the place should also be on board doing something. The reason for which we are intending to organize some fundraising. We believe strongly that if we get 1,000 worthy citizens from the area to donate 1,000 Ghana cedis, that should give us 1 million Ghana cedis. And if you should get 500, another 1,000 given 500 Ghana cedis, we should be able to get another 500,000 Ghana cedis and beyond. So we're thinking that we could be able to raise 2 million Ghana cedis if we are able to do this very well, so that can also go to, as it were, address some of the plight of the people as far as meeting some of the immediate relief items are concerned. And so this is what we've been discussing, and we believe strongly that if we are able to do it well and do it very well, we should be able to raise 2 million Ghana cedis to, meet the challenges that our people are faced with.
Well, this definitely is doable from what we've heard and what others have said about this, because people are willing to do so. But I'm sure that it's still in the preparatory stages. The citizens need help. So how soon, if anybody, a resident or a citizen of Angloga, Keta, Ketu South and surrounding areas want to get themselves involved in this, how do they do so?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that there are some people who are already raising some money on some platforms. And others have also called some of us from all the way from Kumasi, Cape Coast, to talk about their willingness, as it were, to make some donations to support brothers and sisters back home. And so it was around these discussions that the whole idea of, elevating the platform to raise funds came up. And so I must say that one of the lead persons in this is Mr. Ken Ashige. Of course, Kapite is also involved, and other MPs and former MPs from the area are all very concerned, and we are seeing how best we can really organize very well so that it can be very transparent. And probably we believe strongly that Joy FM can be a platform to also support in that direction.
Okay. We're very much available to do so. Mr. Kwashiga, we're indeed grateful for your time here this afternoon. And whatever it is, we'll definitely liaise with you and let you know about this. And residents, I appreciate these efforts as well from all of you. So it's a good time to rise as fellow citizens to help another citizen who is in distress. NADMO is doing their bit as well, but that definitely will not be enough. And Keta is calling for your help at this point. Well, I'll take you to Parliament because this matter also came up on the floor of Parliament strongly this morning, with some MPs demanding urgent interventions to deal with the perennial tidal waves in the Ketu South municipality. Vice Chairman on the Finance Committee, Patrick Yabuama, wants the government to, as a matter of urgency, make available resources to begin construction of a sea defense wall around Keta and its environs. According to him, this will go a long way to mitigate the impact of tidal waves. My colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, has been speaking to the Okaikwe Central MP. Well, he joins us live. Kwesi Parker-Wilson joins us live with more on this. So, Parker, it's interesting that we are getting persons on the majority side raise concerns about this particular situation. So, what really triggered this conversation on the floor of Parliament?
You know that since the story broke about the tidal waves and its impact on the communities of perhaps residents along the coastal area in the Volta region, many have been talking about it. So the caucus chairman, the Volta caucus chairman, Emmanuel Betra, this morning on the floor of the House, raised a concern, but was a bit disappointed that this has been going on for quite some time now, and government appears not to heed or address the concerns of the people within the area. And so he called for urgent government intervention in dealing with the situation. And again, I indicated that yesterday he went on some station and realized that there hasn't been any relief items given to the affected residents. And so he made a call about the provision of relief items for the affected residents or those within the affected areas. Now, on the majority caucus, the Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee, Patrick Yabuama, then also added his voice to it. In fact, it is a sad situation because, of course, you know that the tidal waves, sometimes happen and do cause a lot of damage. It's quite surprising that nothing hasn't been done about it. And so he called on government. Of course, since he's the Finance Deputy Chair of Parliament, called on government to make the needed resources available to ensure that the sea defense project, as we heard the Minister of Works and Housing talk about yesterday, is actually executed. Now, the Member of Parliament who says she's been really affected by this, the Ketu South MP, Ablaji Pagomani, she was very passionate. In fact, she says that it's not unfortunate for her that ever since she became a Member of Parliament, this is the situation she has to deal with almost every now and then. It's been 11 months of frustration because of the natural disaster. And so she's been talking about it. And this time, the president cannot say he's not heard her. She wants the president to hear the cry of her constituents and quickly move in. One, provide shelter, because we understand that they secure the land to provide shelter or start some construction of a new apartment for the people within the catchment area. That should be done immediately. And again, the construction of the sea defense wall should be done. So these are the concerns raised by members of Parliament this morning. But unfortunately, the MP for Akim Swedro, Kennedy Osenya, for him, he says he's a climate change expert. He has a better appreciation of the situation. And so it is not by nature that we see some of these things happening. Sometimes the activities of the people within the area also trigger the tidal wave. And so for him, he was cautioning the people within the area to be careful of the things that they do that bring these kind of problems to them. But the NDC MP were not happy with the situation. They actually heckled him, asked him to sort of stick to the main issues and address the concerns, and also add a voice to the already calls made on government to make sure that the right thing is done.
Okay. Well, that's my colleague, Chrissy Parker-Wilson, bringing us up to speed on talk about this tidal wave situation in the Ketu South municipality. Now we are learning that Keta and Anglonga are the worst hit by this tidal waves. My colleague, Seth Kwame Boateng, has been attending the COP26 conference on climate change, amongst others, because this issue is a big one when it comes to climate change as well. And the Environment Minister is joining Seth Kwame Boateng on this. Seth, I'm sure it's interesting that we have tidal waves at the time that we are talking about climate change in Glasgow. What's the talk amongst participants on this?
Well, you are right, Emefa, and just this afternoon, I had a privilege to interview the NADMO boss, who this morning spoke about disaster reduction and preventing disaster, something on that topic. And he was equally shocked that the day today that he was presenting or talking about this subject, we had a situation in Keta, some sort of disaster that we are dealing with. And I'm privileged to have with me here the Environment Minister. And climate change is an issue. Everybody's talking about it. I'm sure you've heard what is happening in Keta, in Volta region, the tidal waves. Are you surprised what we are hearing or what's happening?
Not really at all. Climate change and its impact has been happening in Ghana and, for that matter, all over the world, and in Africa in particular. The continent that is impacted, one of them most, it's been happening over the ages. But because it is a disaster happening in slow motion, albeit exacerbated by acute episodic events, we do not seem to realize it. But scientifically, it's been proven to be very true. So Keta doesn't surprise me, you understand? But why? Because these events have happened.
Well, that's my colleague Seth Kwame Boateng, interestingly, discussing that issue with the Environment, Science and Technology Minister, Mr. Kwekwe Friye, on this particular situation in Keta. And then also, it's the climate change conference, COP26, that's currently underway. And Seth has been interacting with the NADMO boss on this. And we've been hearing from the Environment, Science and Technology Minister, Kwekwe Friye, not too surprised about what we are witnessing in Keta currently, because it appears that activities, climate change is upon us, and it's about time that we all accept that our activities could play a role in everything that is happening. But I'll bring Seth Kwame Boateng back with the Environment, Science and Technology Minister, Kwekwe Friye, shortly or sometime during the show. It will be interesting to hear from him on this development as well. But we know now that residents, there are over 3,000 of them, almost 4,000 residents, are going to get relief today because NADMO has just arrived to bring help. We'll take a break, and still to come, pressure mounts on government to reduce taxes on petroleum products as drivers from 16 unions issue a 48-hour ultimatum to government. Please stay with us here on The Pulse. We are back in a bit. This is The Pulse, and many thanks for your company, and thanks for staying with us. Let's wrap up on that climate change conversation, tying in nicely with what is happening in Keta and its surrounding communities. And before we went on the break, we lost my colleague Seth Kwame Boateng, who's been having that very nice conversation with the Environment, Science and Technology Minister, Mr. Kwekwe Friye. Seth, it's good to have you back. Let's take off from what the minister has been saying about we are expecting this to be upon us.
That's why I'm so surprised about an issue that is brewing home in Ghana. I'll face it head on. In fact, as many Ghanaians as possible, if the economy or if their finances were allowed, should have come to this conference. And as many ordinary people
as possible should have been here so that we can appreciate the problem. Because if you do not carry the people along, everybody has got their own carbon footprints, no matter how small it is. And it is the aggregate of it all that contributes to the greenhouse emission. In Sevioso, Sahira, No, Adabo, Krum, Ohoi, Savelugu, everywhere, people use firewood and whatnot. Look, we throw carbon dioxide into the air. And if you do not take, the idea is not to get zero emission, but the idea is net zero emission, because economies cannot grow without emission. But whilst we are throwing carbon dioxide into the air, we have to be planting trees to soak up the carbon dioxide and throw net oxygen and, other greenhouse effects. I'm using carbon dioxide because that's the biggest culprit, but methane, nitrous oxide, and other gases too are also in the whole pool. And we must take steps to make sure that we reduce the emissions into the atmosphere because they trap the heat. Okay. And Ghana can make its contribution. In fact, we even make more contribution than countries similar in size as us, or even twice as in the temperate areas, because God has endowed us with a tropical climate where trees grow fast. So when we are talking about carbon sequestration, we can sequestrate faster than, let's say, Sweden or Norway. So the whole thing is a time motion thing, and we have got a lot to contribute. Besides which, Ghana punches more than its weight, because our society, well, compared to the rest of Africa in several places, we are better organized despite all our problems. So countries look up to us. The steps that we take, they will copy, because this is a moral and ethical issue. And that is the word I've brought to this conference, because it is something that when you say that it is the developed countries that have caused this problem, in fact, you are impacted more than them. And no matter how much complaint you make, if you do not cooperate for them to mitigate, we are all going to die together.
And MFA, before I hand over to you, today, government signed a number of agreements with other countries. Yes. Walk me through those agreements and what are they going to do for us in our climate change fight?
Yes, right now we've signed an agreement with Sweden, an MOU, which will translate into an agreement. Before that, even before we came to this, this conference, we had signed an MOU and followed it up with agreement with Switzerland. Let me explain the Swiss model. That one, even though I signed it, the beneficiary will be the Ministry of Energy, where there will be solar panels to be distributed to remote communities.
Oh, really?
Yes. Switzerland will do that. And then energy efficient, wood stoves will also be distributed to millions of Ghanaians, especially in rural settings. So that, like I've told you, they will be using the charcoal and the firewood, but they will be so efficient that the energy per unit that you get will be tripled, so that the net emission will be reduced. Understand? And then, of course, there's a small portion for reforestation, land reclamation, and so on. But with the Swedish one, we signed an MOU, and then we have the opportunity to also design. So when we get home, we are going to design programs, because every country has an area where they have their strength, because there are so many programs and projects that you can use to mitigate this climate action. Look, land reclamation, even solution to galamsey issues where the land is not disturbed, and so forth. So if Sweden has the technology to help us in that fight, and so forth, as a ministry that is, takes proximal actions to help, we are enabler. Mercy, that is why you don't hear of us. We enable others. So all our programs, ultimately, Minister of Agri will benefit. Ultimately, energy, ultimately, land, ultimately, transport. But I'm here, I'm the, if you like, the Thomas Partey of, Ghana sectorial ministers. So I look at it, I see the misfield, and they pass the ball to my colleagues. That's why maybe you might not even hear a lot about me. But I enjoy this role.
Thank you. So the minister would have to go somewhere, but it's been a very busy day because the wife of the vice president is also here. She has also been speaking at one of the UN meetings about, she's a gender and clean stove advocate. So she was here to present a paper this morning, and she passed through the Ghana pavilion to interact with the delegates here. So it's been a very busy day. Several meetings happening at the same time. As we speak, all transport ministers from across the world, they are in a meeting. And it's a meeting I've delayed. I cannot even go and cover. So at the same time, you have about 10 meetings happening at the same time. And it's quite an interesting one. We get the opportunity to monitor on air at times, on live streams, so that we can file our reports. So that's what is happening here today.
Stay with us because there are other emerging issues that I would want to touch on, because it is emerging this morning that the $100 billion promised African countries annually by the developed nations to mitigate the negative impacts of climate change may not be on it. Though African countries are contributing less than 3% of the world's emissions, the continent is rather bearing the brunt. At Ghana's official side event in the ongoing climate change conference in Glasgow, one of Ghana's negotiators from the Ministry of Finance, Foster Abuaji-Jemfi, revealed how the G20 countries are making a U-turn on that pledge.
Currently, what the ministry want to do is to be able to assess a much innovative kind of financing to be able to push the country's agenda when it comes to climate finance. And therefore, now we buy into carbon market, which is under the Article 6. And I'm aware, as the Executive Secretary of Environmental Protection Agency did hint, that currently we have also signed a bilateral agreement with the Swiss, and we want to have a cooperation with them to be able to access some funding from them. We want to move from this bilateral to do much more under the Article 6.4, where we are going to the open market. And the Minister of Finance is very key in this area, and we have started a very serious engagement in that area. On the other side, we're also looking at going to another area of which is the green bond. Currently, we have been working on the framework to be able to that will guide us in terms of how the process and other things will be done. So very soon we'll be coming out in terms of the green bond. In terms of the lessons that we have learned over the period, I think we have been observing a lot of movement from the agreement that was given by the COP, because the initial agenda was for the developed countries to be supporting the developing countries to be able to implement action that will help the global goal of being able to reduce the global temperature to 2 degrees and a pathway of 1.5. And to do that, we were expected to be funded, provided the needed funding to do that. But currently, what we see when it comes to the multilateral is the shift from providing the needed soft financing to pushing for loans for the developing countries, which I think is not helping very much, which means the developing countries would have to be paying for these things in future. And I'm sure it will deter the developing countries from achieving much from.
Change is real, so we ought to desist from activities that will hurt the environment. Well, Seth, briefly, just before I let you off, it's interesting that the countries are supposed to give us such monies because they are emitting more than we are doing. And the reality is upon us. It appears that that money will never come.
Yes, because now they want to convert that into loans, and that's going to be a challenge. Because per what I've been told, for Ghana to be able to deal with this, we need approximately, I think, $15 billion to enable us to fix this climate change challenge. And where are we going to get this money from? Already, we have been told that natural resources we could exploit to help us do this, we should not touch those things because they contribute to climate change. But let's remember that these same natural resources are what these wealthy countries exploited, and they got there. Now they are up there, and they are telling us that we should not touch ours because ours would further deteriorate whatever we are dealing with in terms of climate change. So that's a reality, and it's really an issue. No wonder the African team, they are still negotiating. They have been in several negotiation meetings and trying to get their counterparts to agree that we can't let this go because we need that to also develop.
Great stuff, Seth. Great reporting there from Glasgow. We're with you throughout. Many thanks for your company. That's my colleague Seth Kwame Boateng, all the way from Glasgow on the climate change conference currently underway. I'll bring you back home here, and there's intense pressure on government to urgently scrap at least 5 taxes on petroleum products. 16 transport unions, including the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and Articulated Drivers Association, Tipper Truck Association, Ghana National Cargo Transport Association, amongst others. They say that a litre, we all know, of petrol and diesel currently sells at what, 6.90 cedis, with a premium almost 8 Ghana cedis at major oil marketing companies across the country. The driver unions say they cannot continue to put up with such high prices. First, we can listen to Godfred Abubari. He lists the taxes they believe should be scrapped to bring relief to petroleum consumers.
These increments have reduced our real daily income because we need to add more money to buy the same quantity of fuel for our daily wears. Now, removal of taxes and the margins. Therefore, we call on the government to scrap the taxes, levies, and margins on the price build-up. We make this appeal because the commercial transport operator and vehicle user in general cannot continue to pay for debt caused by government appointees in the energy sector again. We can't continue to sustain and then subsidize on premise fuel for the fisheries subsector of the economy, since the continuous subsidization of premise fuel has not stopped the importation of fish products into the country. Lastly, crude oil prices are surging on the international market, implying that government is making excess revenue on petroleum receipts, and for that matter, the petroleum and commercial transport operating needed to be cushioned. Briefly, we call on government to scrap totally the price stabilization and recovery levy of the 16 pesewa per litre per gallon per petrol, and then the 14 pesewa per litre per diesel. The special petroleum tax, which is 46 per litre on either diesel or petrol. The energy sector levy recovery levy of 20 cedi per litre on either petrol or diesel, and the sanitation and pollution levy, which is 10 pesos per litre on either diesel or petrol. And lastly, the scrap of the energy debt recovery levy of 28 pesewa on either diesel or petrol, since the arrears of the legacy debt owed to the bulk distribution companies have been cleared.
So they didn't end it there. They say that should their caution go unheeded, they've given a 48-hour ultimatum. They say they will be forced to withdraw their services starting on Thursday, exactly at 3 p.m. The unions say they will also withdraw these services in 48 hours, like I've said. And David Agbuado is PRO of the National Concerned Drivers Association. He's been speaking on that.
On Thursday, from 6 o'clock up to 3 o'clock, we will take the workers to workplace. And from 3 o'clock, we cease to work. We will not work again. So this that we have pointed out have been reduced or have been cancelled at all. So then we will work. But if somebody is here listening, I'm telling them they should get their food basket ready. They should prepare everything at home. Drivers are not going to move out. Be in trailer, be it truck, be it online, being tipper truck, being Aboboya, even Okada, any vehicle that uses fuel, anything fuelable is not moving on Thursday, 3 o'clock. Anybody that sees a car at 3 o'clock as drivers, ask your colleague driver a question. And no car, I'm saying this because it's violation of transport organization. This is not GPRG alone. This is not concern alone. This is not tipper drivers alone. This is not National Cargo Drivers Association alone. This is not GAP2 alone, not Protua, neither even Okada or online people. This is to the states and this is to the government. You should listen and listen well.
So let's bring in a communications team member of the GPRT, Uganda Private Road Transport Union. Mr. Samuel Amwa joins us via Zoom. Mr. Amwa, so how real is this? I don't know if GPRTU is on with the announcement that we just heard that you're going to withdraw your services on Thursday in 48 hours. How realistic is that? You have to unmute, sir. Please unmute.
Okay, let me just...
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, what we are saying is what you just heard from my colleague drivers or my colleague unions was very right. And the signal that we are sending to the government is that our interest is not in increment of lorry fares because of the economic hardship in the country. Thinking about the ordinary citizen, everything is on a high side. So what we are saying is government should scrap those taxes that we mentioned earlier on. Else, what is going to happen is within 48 hours from now, no commercial vehicle is going to move in the country. And just think about how it will affect, every area of activities in the nation. So we are sending this signal to the presidency or to the government that they should listen to what we are saying, because now petrol or the fuel is at the higher side. And commercial driver will go out there to buy the fuel, come and work. At the end of the day, he will run at a loss. Owners don't get their sales. Drivers are working, and at the close of the day, they go home empty-handed, and it's affecting our business. So all that we are saying is government should scrap those taxes that we think are not relevant for now, so that the fuel will come down for all of us to enjoy.
But Mr. Amwa, if I may come in briefly or quickly, is that how to communicate with government? If you want something done, is it through a press conference that you issue an ultimatum? Have you exhausted all avenues for them to hear you out on this matter?
We've done that. If I will remember, about a month or two ago, there was a press release about this same issue. It's still
a public statement. I recall that statement also. It was a press release. I don't know if it was directed to those in authority, those who can do something about it.
Yes. What we decided to do was that there is supposed to be a meeting with the Transport Ministry today. But that meeting couldn't come on, of which they keep postponing it. They keep postponing it. That is why we have decided to come out this way. Because, yes, we've sent signal to them for us to, call on us, for us to sit down and for us to talk about this very issue. But, the opportunity has not been given to us. That is why this time around, we are coming out this way, so that they will see how effective and how this thing is going to create problem in the country. So if they know, really, if drivers are going to sit down for this time, not working, and how it will affect the ordinary citizen in the country, yeah, they should come out and listen to us. Yes, as this statement has gone out now, if tomorrow they call us, we sit down, then we think about how to go about it, or reducing or scrapping these taxes that we are talking about. Yes, we'll reason with them, but we have tried so many ways to engage them, but the platform has not been given to us.
But we've been told that the taxes that you're asking for it to either be reduced, scrapped, or merged is unrealistic. Government has put in place some measures. For instance, with the stabilization recovery levy, they've suspended it for 2 months. Parliament is here to approve for that to happen. That is not enough for you?
My sister, thank you very much for asking this question. You know, this issue of suspending this stabilization tax, you know, it's almost about a month ago, and it has not been implemented. And the question is, if they suspend it for 2 months, after the 2 months, what is going to happen? We are talking about scrapping it. We are not talking about suspending it, because if you suspend something for 2 months, definitely it has to come back. And if it comes back, then it's going to stand the same. The poor price is going to go high as we are seeing it now. So that one is not going to help us. That is why we are saying they should scrap it up, because we don't see how effective or how these taxes that we are paying now, like talking about toll levy like this, you know, we don't see the use of toll levy now, because now toll is not working. So if toll is not operating now and we are paying levy for toll, then I don't see why those taxes have to be paid. So all that we want to let them understand that they should scrap it, not suspending it. Even when they came out that they are suspending it, for up to today, Parliament has not approved it, and we are still buying the fuel at the same price. So it is affecting us seriously.
So apart from the toll levy, which other ones? Because previously you had up to a number of them that you wanted removed, but now it looks like you've reduced them to just 5 of them. So apart from the toll levy, which other ones are you seeking its removal?
Yes, what we are seeking is that we made mention of the special petroleum tax, that is 46 pesos on a liter. We also spoke about the price stabilization and recovery levy, that is 16 pesos per liter. The boss margin, 9 pesos. Sanitation and pollution levy for 10 pesos. Then the energy debt recovery levy and the energy sector recovery levy, you know, is 30 pesos per liter. So these are the taxes we are thinking that they should scrap it. When they scrap all these taxes, you know, fuel will come down to at least about 26 cedis a gallon or 27 cedis. And everyone is going to enjoy it.
So on Thursday, if nothing happens, let me find out first, since you put out the announcement or the 48-hour ultimatum, have you been contacted? Have you heard anything from government on any intervention they are hoping to put in place?
For now, we've not had any intervention. We've not had any information from them. We are still waiting forward. Our interest is not about parking our vehicles for ordinary citizens to suffer.
Exactly.
But all that we need is, the passengers or the citizens who enjoy the country, and we, the drivers, who also enjoy the country. So we want them to come out.
So,
right?
So how do you want us to cope? Those of us who have to pick Chotro on Thursday after work, how are we supposed to cope?
It's going to be very, very difficult, of which I will also be affected, because my wife and my children will also find it very difficult.
But you're a car owner, so you can't be bothered.
I will be bothered, because if I'm a car owner and my vehicle is working and I say my vehicle shouldn't work, my vehicle cannot just go out there to pick my wife and children alone. So meaning everybody is going to be affected. And
how long are you going to be doing this? How long will that suspension take place?
Until what we are seeking from the government is being done. Until they've heard us.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. Because if now we say we are setting up what we are waiting for, what we are looking for, you've not given it to us, how can we come back to work at the same problem that we are going through? We can't do that.
But this is interesting. So drivers going on strike. Okay. Yes. That's very interesting.
Yes, we want the government to feel the heat. Yes, we want the government to feel the heat. So that if you cannot get a vehicle to your workplace, a doctor cannot get a vehicle to a nurse, or a patient who is going to seek for medical attention is not getting a vehicle to his destination, government, they will all make noise.
But you know that, but Mr. Amwa, those you are seeking to punish will not actually feel this, because they are sitting in their V8s and all. We, the ordinary Ghanaians, are the ones you are punishing. So you don't end up punishing anyone, because these politicians, they can't be bothered about this, because they don't sit in your church. We do.
Yes, my sister, that is why we are not interested in increment of lorry fares. What is happening now, the best thing that everybody may think is, increasing our fares. And we know if we increase our fares, it's the same ordinary citizen who is going to suffer. Because the MPs, the ministers, and the government appointees and all those people, they are sitting in their V8s and they don't even buy fuel with their own monies. That is why we are saying this time around, we are not going to increase the lorry fare for them to continue to enjoy the taxes that they have been enjoying. That is why we are saying they should scrap those taxes so that the fuel will come down. The private driver who has been buying fuel to go to his workplace will enjoy. Me, the commercial vehicle that I'm also operating to convey passengers to their various points, I will also enjoy. Then the passenger will also enjoy the reduction of his transport fare.
Okay, but there were times there were times where fuel prices, for instance, went down, and we're expecting that at least transport fares will also go down. But that did not happen. So why are you now crying foul at this point?
My sister, if you recall, fuel prices has a limit that will go before a lorry fare increment will come. If you remember, way back between May and June, we were giving 13% on our lorry fares. And even by then, we were expecting even more. The increment went on and on and on and on before they gave us this 13%. You understand? So if today they come and they say they have reduced the fuel, it will determine on how much they reduce before it will come to a point that we also have to reduce our lorry fares. So it's not like if supposing they give some increment, maybe 10% or 10% increment, then we also increase. That is not what is happening now in the country. They increase up to a certain level before they give us an increment. They set it in a certain percentage before they give us an increment.
Okay. Yeah. So just before I let you off, and just for a quick clarity on this. So from Thursday, 3 p.m., when you don't get what you want, the vehicles that will be affected, is it just the intercity or intracity? What exactly would it be? Long distance, short distance, we are all going to be affected?
My sister, what is going to happen is we are not talking about only a trotro or only taxi or only a long distance vehicle or whatever. Every commercial vehicle in the country, whether it has to be a tipper truck, a cargo truck, a fuel tanker truck or whatever, every commercial vehicle is going to park from Thursday, 3 o'clock. If we don't get the response that we are waiting from the government or from the presidency, every vehicle, commercial vehicle, is going to park, and see how effective this thing is going to be.
Ms. Amwa, we'll definitely be back to you on this. Hopefully, your message sinks in and something is done to avert this suspension of services. Thank you so much. That's Samuel Amwa. He's a communications member of the GPRTU, and you've heard him. They've served notice, 48-hour ultimatum to government to scrap a number of taxes, merge or reduce some taxes that they've mentioned. If not, failure, if their call is not heeded, they are going to suspend work. And you and I, those of us who pick Trotro, we'll see how we'll manage on Thursday after work. But hopefully, government will intervene such that this will be averted. We're still working the lines to reach the Transport Ministry, amongst others, on this issue. It's been unsuccessful so far, but as and when we do, we'll bring their reaction as well to you. But let me take you to the Volta region. And when we go to the Volta region, there are two schools. It's Ola Girls and Bishop Herman College. And our boys are in trouble. So it's a good time to redeem and help them out of this situation that they are in. Bishop Herman College, I'm told, needs a facelift. And the Old Boys Union, they've triggered a campaign to provide that facelift for their alma mater, Bishop Herman College, in Pando, in the Volta region. We call them Bobu. So the boys are seeking to raise funds to tackle the challenges of dilapidated infrastructure, bad road network on the campus, abandoned projects, sanitation, solid and liquid waste management. And my colleague, himself a former Bobu, or a Bobu, JoyNews Fred Kwame Asare, was with the team, and here's his report.
Pando serves as home to the Bishop Herman College, which has produced numerous illustrious Ghanaians. Over 2,000 students are currently reading various senior high school courses here. Biheko, established in 1952, was once the beacon of education in Ghana, rubbing shoulders with other top-tier schools. Its struggles to remain one of the best-performing schools is derailed by a series of challenges.
The condition is nothing to write home about. Our cherished school, Bishop Herman, is really being run down, and if nothing is done soon, this will not be a good place to churn out the kind of leaders we want for our societies.
The school is plagued with infrastructure, road and sanitation challenges. One of the oldest structures on the campus, the giant block, is suffering serious defects. The structure, which accommodates a library, box rooms and dormitories, had sections of its roofs damaged by a storm. This has led to the structure leaking at various parts. The library is not spared. Sections of columns of the corridor have eroded off, exposing iron rods, while others have developed deep cracks. This development endangers the lives of the students. A firm contracted to rehabilitate the structure has abandoned the project after doing some works on the staircase.
We believe that some work can be done to put the building in shape, to restore it into its former glory, as it were, because it is not only the face of Bishop Herman College when you arrive on campus, it is also one of the biggest accommodation facilities on campus for students, and therefore it is just prudent that we renovate it.
The campus road network keeps deteriorating by the day. Bitumen surfacing of the road network has completely eroded off at some sections. A construction firm contracted to put the roads into shape has abandoned the project. A dormitory project awarded under the President's special initiative during the late President Atta Mills' administration had also stalled. These two sanitation facilities, which are in bad states, serve the majority of the student population. The students have to access the facilities undressed to avoid their clothing picking the stench produced by the facility. Solid and liquid waste management is another challenge bedeviling the school. The Kpando Municipal Chief Executive, Geoffrey Kojo Badasu, said the Assembly would liaise with the appropriate institutions to resolve the sanitation challenge.
Yes, and we don't want to sit down for us to have any outbreak of disease before we start thinking of solutions to them. So we'll do everything possible to see how best we can support the second cycle institutions within the municipality.
These developments informed the decision by the Old Boys to launch an initiative to raise funds to support projects to uplift the school.
But even as we seek governmental and state support, we are mobilizing BOBU, old students and we are raising funds to support projects here. And so there's a major fundraising going on.
A team of Old Boys, after touring the campus to ascertain the challenges, paid a courtesy call on the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Yao-Lecha, and appealed for an intervention. Dr. Lecha promised to channel their request to the appropriate institutions for redress.
The PSI, we have to find out the history and where the funding was from. Possibly it was something directly funded from the President's office. And that we have to find out whether Get Fund could take over. So we have giant block, and the road network to then the PSI block, and then the Assembly Hall complex. These are four projects that we have to, the headmaster has to write. Then we also take the appropriate action.
The Old Boys are hoping to raise 500,000 Ghana cedis to commence renovation works on the campus by the end of 2021. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Kpando.
And no one was set for that to happen to Bishop Herman College. It's time for you and I, Bobu and Poga, to rise and help Bishop Herman College. Well, talking about deplorable states, we'll talk about roads at this point, and the CEO of the KEB Mining and Construction Company Limited, who is a contractor working on the Medina roads, Ebenezer Kwame Bwedi, has dismissed claims that he was compelled to return to site following the protest led by Medina MP Francis Xavier Susu, which has landed him in trouble, and some residents over the poor nature of the roads in the municipality. So work on the controversial stretch resumed 1 week after the MP led the residents there to demand immediate government action. Well, a visit by JoyNews to the construction site, however, showed that work has once more been halted, worsening the condition of the roads. Providing response for the reasons for abandoning the work once more, the contractor, Ebenezer Kwame says his team never left the site. Instead, they have been working from a different section of the road as directed. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, let's bring you a recap of our visit to the site.
The sounds of vehicles, heavy and light, as they struggle to meander through large potholes, their tires splashing against deep puddles on sections of the Damfa Otinibi roads. Residents in these communities, together with others from Taiman, Abokubi, Ayimensa and other areas all within the La Madina and Kwantanai municipality, hit the streets on Monday, October 26, to demand immediate government attention in fixing the roads. A demonstration which will land the MP, Francis Xavier Sosu, in a row with the police. As the case progresses in court, the main reason for the protest, the deplorable roads, have moved from bad to worse.
See the water. You yourself, can you use your foot leg to that side? You yourself see the road. There's no any way. The children are suffer. See the school. We have government school over here, but there's no anything going on. With that car, we can't go where we are going to.
Because I had to go down there, and trust me, like I had to return because I couldn't continue the journey. It's really terrible.
So if it rains a lot, I have to park my car here, then walk, so that the next day or the next 2 days, then I'll come and pick my car. It's very terrible. So the government has to really do something about it for us. We are suffering here.
And since last year, since August, we have never had a peace. Any time it rains, terrible, very terrible, very terrible, very, very terrible. And this road is very simple. When you are going to Ebri from here, you don't have to go through Adenta barrier. You just drive through a distance about 5-10, then you are off.
We can now hear from the contractor there, CEO of KB Mining and Construction Company Limited, insisting that he never left the site. Ebenezer Kwame Bwedi.
Why it delay is because we started last year December. We have started last year December, and when we was on the road watching, you see, even we reached a point that we are going to steal, and there's a heavy rainfall, and then the water come overflow our work we done. And then I called the engineer to come and have a meeting. They said we should stop there and go and have it from the human plant. Because that day the base then is at 0.6, so they told me that I should go and they are going to change it. Then we are going to do it 0.9 because the 0.6 is too small for that bridge. And I accepted.
So Mr. Bwedi, you're telling me that it rained for what, 1 day, and it was the impact was so much that it could erode all the work you had done, and you had to stop working on that stretch, and you couldn't go back?
I want you to understand me.
Right.
That particular day, that rainfall, that rain, that rain overcame my work. And then I called the engineer. He said I should stop that particular place. I should stop it and go and start it from the Ayimensa. And the Ayimensa, we're supposed to do the portal pattern test before we can see. And we started the portal pattern. Then I bought the materials. I bought 20 cubic chickens. I bought the fellow materials. That I bought 17 fish.
So that's the contractor there, taking us to another break here on The Pulse. When we return this time, we have sports.
It's time for sports on The Pulse. I'm Hans Mensah, and Thomas Partey is set to miss Ghana's penultimate World Cup qualifier group game against Ethiopia as a precautionary measure due to groin tightness. Partey picked up a groin issue on Thursday ahead of Arsenal's league game against Watford on Sunday and missed his side's 1-0 win over the Hornets. The 28-year-old missed the opening 2 games of the qualifiers but teamed up with a squad for the doubleheader against Zimbabwe, scoring in both fixtures. The big question, who takes the place of Thomas Partey in Thursday's game against Ethiopia? Joining me in the studio is Oreku Ampofu. Let's begin on this note. It's about time to be losing Thomas Partey, especially given his performances in the last 2 games of the Black Stars and even for Arsenal.
getting some bit of consistency. He had played 10 matches for Ghana and Arsenal. In all 10, none of the teams he represented in Arsenal and the Black Stars had lost, and he had scored 3 goals. And so he was starting to feel himself again. And I think we're getting a sense of the Thomas Partey that everyone was so fascinated about at Atletico Madrid. It's unfortunate that his Achilles heel, that's injuries, will put him down again. But this time around, it's not put down as a long-term injury. It's just a matter of muscle tightness. And Arsenal didn't want to take the risk with him versus Watford over the weekend. And that has translated to the Black Stars. The club are still saying that they're unsure when he'll be fit, but the FA have requested that Partey shows up and they do their own assessment, and they feel he should be able to play a role against South Africa. So it's a difficult time, and what we do know is that he's not part of the squad to face Ethiopia at the very least.
That is it. And what, just in terms of the specific qualities that he brings to the team, what would the Black Stars be missing out?
Well, I think you can look at the immediate past 2 games that we played against Zimbabwe. He scored game-changing goals in the first leg here and then in the reverse fixture at Harare. You looked at the first match where the game was tied and he put the Black Stars 2-1 up. A little bit of individual brilliance, winning the ball in the top half of the pitch. That's something that he does very well in terms of his aggressive pressing and interception skills. And then his ability to drive into the box, beat a couple of men before shooting. Those were the qualities of Partey highlighted in that goal. And then another one is also his ability to shoot from distance. We saw that in the reverse fixture, you can see the goal in the shot there, scoring the only goal of the game. So these were goals that were more of the player quality rather than a system. So I wouldn't say that bringing in a player would be able to replicate these same type of good moments that we had. So yeah, you look at a free kick like this, I don't think we have a midfielder who can
be able to
hit the ball as well. So,
and also in terms of the replacement, which players are we looking at? We know that Mubarak Wakaso is back, in the team as well. Are we looking at the direct replacement for Thomas Partey and Mubarak Wakaso?
No, I don't think so. I think that they're completely different profiles in midfield. Wakaso loves to make the ball run. Would love to he's a high-risk player, would opt to go for a 40-yard pass rather than a 5-yard pass and move the ball up slowly. So you're looking at 2 different types of players. Partey can drive the ball, Wakaso cannot. So I think it would, maybe the closest in terms of profiles would be Mohamed Kudus. So he would have to be withdrawn from a number 10 role into a number 8 role where we saw Thomas Partey. And I think he would thrive in there. I think that would make Milo's decision easier because it means that Andre Ayew will just slot into the number 10 position. So I'm anticipating that Kudus comes back to the number 8, he pairs Baba Idrisu, and then number 10 would just be Andre Ayew.
All right, thank you very much, Oreko. We'll definitely be bringing you more from the camp of the Black Stars as they prepare for those 2 games against Ethiopia and South Africa. In the meantime, read the latest from the world of sport at myjoyonline.com/sport. I'm Hans Mensando. Many thanks for your time.
I certainly have enjoyed your company this evening here on The Pulse on the JoyNews channel. We'll leave it here for now and bring you Let's Talk Showbiz. And remember to log on to myjoyonline.com for more news. Minority wants AG removed. Over 499 law students' admission issues, amongst others, is on myjoyonline.com. That's it for The Pulse today. Many thanks for your company, and do stay with us here on JoyNews channel and all our social media platforms for more of our programming. I am Emefa Apau. Have a good evening.